Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going over the current state of Deadlock for May 2025. So first off, Valve has graced us with a major update at the beginning of May, and that was a complete rework to the shop system. In the previous videos in April, I talked about how it had been 2 months since there was a kind of a gap in the major updates, and somewhat like March didn't have any major updates, and neither did April. Um, and it was just sort of minor updates. They had a few impactful stuff here and there, but there was nothing big and really kind of game changing. However, they have really changed the game with this shop update,
What are you looking
which
for? Guns?
has
Trinkets? Tickets to
completely
South Pacific?
overhauled how the shop looks. As you can see, all the items have got unique art and everything like that compared to the other things. Um, they've changed the item slot system where instead of having four for each type of item, so you could have four for weapon, vitality, and spirit, and then four flex, which could be any. It's now this all the slots are universal. So if you
Hope
have,
you win whatever fight
so
you're
you can
about
just
to
buy,
start.
you know, one of each or whatever, things like that. So it
I
allows for
should go
builds.
shopping.
Allows for builds to particularly go all in one direction. So in like carry characters like Wraith or Furnace or Haze or whatever, you can buy a ton of gun items, and then maybe a little, maybe like one or two vitality, maybe one spirit, maybe like a Quicksilver or something. If you're building tank, you can go a lot of vitality and spirit characters as well. You can really focus in and onto one type of build with this new shop update, whereas before you were kind of this building items that did build, did work towards build, but in general, items before give you a lot of stats, compared to now where certain items, well, majority of the items just don't give extra stats, and you're buying it for the effect. Say, for example, Refresher. Refresher in the old shop gave like Spirit Resist, maybe Move Speed, or some other things, and stuff like that. And now it's purely just you buying it, and it's going to give you the active to reset all your cooldowns and charges. I think the charger was added actually with the shop, but it's mainly used refreshers to refresh your abilities, mainly your ult as well. Um, but it doesn't get any extra effects. Of course, there's still items that give you stuff. For example, Echo Shard gives you fire rate, cooldown reduction, spirit and bullet resist, and whatnot. So it's still around in some items. Like for example, extra spirit just gives you spirit. Like the tier 1 version just gives you spirit power. It doesn't give you any extra like regen. It is on improved spirit power, but that is still a tier 2 item and stuff. Um, so yeah, they've taken a lot of the extra stats out. So sort of like spam building items is not as viable anymore. Um, Mainly because one, you'll have overall less slots. You only have 8 at base until you unlock more, which have changed around. So now the two guardians stay the same, but now and you get one for two enemy walkers. Actually, yeah, this one says and then there's two. So instead of where before you need one, you got one for one walker, and then one, your third one for destroying all three enemy walkers. It's now for two. In general, this is much easier because you can get the side walkers. They're easier to destroy because they have overall less health than the middle one. Um, so you can get the third one a lot easier now, and I do like that change that they did. Um, Having more items means the game is more fun, of course. So I think it's generally a good change. And then they changed the fourth one as well. So instead of before it was base guardians and shrine, it's now just base guardians. So actually pushing the base and getting base guardians somewhat in the mid to late, just before late, somewhat, but like potentially in the late game if you really pushed up a lane, you've got their walker, um, it's viable to actually take their base guardians because it will unlock you an extra slot for an item. So that's also a good change because most of the time before, if you were destroying shrines, you were probably already winning, and you were already, you know, you would most likely, that's like the next fight. Like you would destroy both shrines and then you would get their floating patron. the next fight that's determined if you won the game. It's the flex slot really wasn't really that impactful, so having it be a bit easier to obtain, and a bit easier, it does give, um, and especially with how limited slots can be at the moment, um, I like the change as well. So yeah, um, I'm not going to go over every single new item in this update because other people have done it already. They've talked about, you know, new items, and their effects and changes to like existing items and stuff like that. This is some of them like Backstabber. Let's go. Let's well, I can briefly talk about some of the big like items that are new and have had quite an impact so far. So there is Backstabber. A lot of people don't really pick this up, but it is very effective. Um, and it had to get quite a decent nerf where before it was like there was no range to actually trigger this, but now you have to be in a certain distance to um, to activate this. So which is quite a significant change, but it's still a very good item. It gives minus bullet resist and damage over time and whatnot. Um, of course, there's weakening headshot. There's a slightly weaker version. I don't see actually many people pick this up, to be honest. If you're just picking the headshot, you're gonna go headhunter or just crippling headshot. Um, Koi sacrifice has been a very fun. Well, it's just a one-time use, but like it's been a very good item for characters that can't farm that well, and even characters that do farm well. It's still a good item because it gives you fire rate, bonus health, and range on your abilities and whatnot. So this has been a pretty good item. Uh, Express shot has been very good. Um, it's been very good with like Mystic shot on like Yamato. It's been very apparently worked with like the Paradox's carbine. Apparently shot twice somehow. So I think they might have changed that. I'm not entirely sure, but this has been a very quite a strong item as well. Um, of course, with Mystic shot, it's been very strong. Um, I've not armor piercing rounds did have a bug with Viper where you could actually shoot if you did your ult on Viper on someone. Of course, they're like solidified, they're petrified, and you couldn't they don't take any damage. But there was a bug where if you had armor piercing rounds on Viper and you shot them while they were in their stone form with Viper, then you could actually damage through, and it was quite strong. But they patched it out. Crushing Fist has been a great upgrade for melee type characters and melee builds. I've been seeing a lot of people build it on Abrams, of course. He's the punch guy, he's the punch man. Calico, of course, Shiv and Yamato have also been using this item. Been pretty good. Spell Slinger has been pretty good on Warden, I've seen, and Wraith. Maybe some other characters, but I've mainly seen him on Wraith and Warden. For Vitality, in general, a lot of the items that they've added, they've added quite a good amount of tier 4 items. Um, because a lot of the items before were very you bought a lot of smaller ones, and then most people didn't really build into the big higher ones that much, but now there's limited slots, and the tier 4s are very strong. Like the new tier 4s and stuff like that have been very strong in this update. So they've also separated barriers. Barriers are no longer separated by weapon barriers or shielding and spirit damage shielding. They're now just a single barrier that blocks all, and there's items that can give you it. For example, like Majestic Leap gives you a barrier, Divine Kevlar gives you a barrier, and it's just like it will block all types of damage, not just specifically one. These two items are new, but so when you take a certain amount of weapon damage or spirit damage, you get a barrier to help you block and a bit of move speed and whatnot. So another big item is a Trophy Collector. I love this item. It's great on support. I've actually, even on tanks, specifically Abrams, I like the movement speed on it. It helps the range on his 1 and his ult a little bit. It helps you really good rotating if you can get the stacks and stuff. If you're in a lot of team fights early on, you want to be ganking and then supporting a lot, this is a really good item for that type of stuff. So I really enjoy it. Veil Walker moved back down from tier 4 to tier 3, and it's pretty good on also roaming characters as well, because it gives you the move speed, it gives you a heal, and it makes you invisible. Of course, Warpstone, as you can see, is a vitality item now rather than a weapon, so you don't get the bonus weapon damage from it. There's a lot of other, of course, tier 4 ones. Cheat Death. I've not really seen many people use Cheat Death, but it is a toned down version of what Soul Rebirth was, of course, months ago before it got removed. Well, Soul Rebirth was you revived on your spot, and then you just had a general longer respawn time. This one, of course, makes you, when you die or take lethal damage, you are immune for 4.5 seconds, but you have reduced healing and damage and stuff like that. So it can be used in a way to sort of get out if you have been like nuked or whatever. But I don't really see many people use it. I think it's a bit underpowered at the moment. Of course, Divine Barrier got removed, well, changed. The old like Divine Barrier effect, where it provides a barrier and ability speed or whatever, is called Guardian Ward, but then Divine Barrier has been upgraded to now where it cleanses all non-stun debuffs, which includes Pocket's ultimate. I point this out because debuff remover now purges all non-ultimate negative effects. So if there's a Pocket ult goes off and you have debuff remover, it won't cleanse it. The only way to cleanse it is dying or having Divine Barrier be used on you by yourself or someone else has put it on you. Yeah, so that's the way to cleanse like Pocket ult now. You can still cleanse like Bebop Bomb with debuff remover, and of course fixation stacks and afterburn. It's still really good. Still a really good item, debuff remover, but it helps out Pocket a little bit, the fact that you can't cleanse it or whatnot. So Healing Tempo has been a really good item for support characters or healers like Kelvin, Dynamo, McGuinness, and I think it was an item that really definitely was needed for that type of playstyle because there wasn't really much before. So when you apply healing to yourself or an ally, they get bonus fire rate and move speed. Really good. I've even seen like some carry characters buy this because, for example, like Infernus has quite a bit of lifesteal. You might want to buy a bit of lifesteal. Has his one gives lifesteal, or if you're just buying like Leech or Bullet lifesteal, Spirit lifesteal, or something, or you buy Infuser or whatnot, this can give you a massive fire rate. Like 40% fire rate is really good. So I have even seen carries buy this item, but it's a very good support item, of course. Infuser got buffed quite a bit, but it did move from a tier 1 to a tier 4. It has been pretty strong and quite good as well. Juggernaut I think is one of my favourite items as like a tank player. It's great on, I play quite a bit of Shiv, I play a lot of Abrams. Juggernaut is great. 50% slow resist, fantastic. More move speed, fantastic. 8%, 8 health regen, really good. And then the passive, minus 40% fire rate if people shoot you. It's great against tanks from like melting you down. Tanks melting you down? Carries melting you down, of course. So I really like this item a lot. Plated armor, I've not really seen much use of it at the moment. It's kind of a very niche item, somewhat, so I don't see it much. Spellbreaker is very good. This item heavily reduces incoming spirit damage. So if you take like a ton of damage from like a lash slam or whatever, this is going to cut it down by 75% on a 10-second cooldown, of course. It's really good if they have very high damage spirit characters, like I said, like Lash, Yamato, Grey Talon, though he's kind of bad at the moment, but as just an example, of course. And it'd be a great item in the future if there are other high burst type characters with spirit. Witchmail I think is pretty good. I don't really see that many people take it, but it does seem very strong on certain characters. Um, this you're getting ability cooldowns, you know, if you take a high amount of spirit damage as well. It's similar to like Spellbreaker, but like if you don't, Spellbreaker's maybe better if you're like a slightly weaker character, but if you're a bit more of a tankier character, Witchmail is pretty good because you're getting your cooldowns reduced. Um, so I think yeah, it's pretty better. It's Witchmail is better for like tankier characters, whereas Spellbreaker is like good on sort of anyone else. It's still good on tanks, of course, but it's better on like carry type characters because you don't just get bursted down immediately. And then with Spirit, they've changed specifically how the superior type items worked before, where like the tier 3 cooldown duration expansion were imbues. You imbued a certain ability, it reduced it more, but then the rest of them would get some kind of cooldown. They've now sort of like switched it around where they have cheaper versions of them. Well, the cheaper versions of them are imbue only on a specific ability. So this can only imbue on of course you can't imbue these, but I can only imbue um, the range on my one, for example, and it wouldn't affect the ult unless I bought Greater Expansion.
Bought that off a Knickerbocker that was about to get his legs broken.
As you see, the tab, yeah. So this, of course, Greater Expansion, it increases the radius of both my one and ult.
Got enough for the best gear.
Don't mind the blood on that. It's
And it won't show on the thing here, but where's the range? Yeah, so 12.3 meters, and this, of course, is 10.5. And you see, it's only imbued my siphon life rather than one, so you can only be one at a time, of course. So it's better to get. Usually, if you're buying one of the imbued ones, you're just going to get one of them later on. So they have changed that. Mystic Regen was quite a strong item before it actually scaled. However, they've made it so it's just a flat 4%. When you do spirit damage, it gives you regen. It was a pretty strong item, especially as a tier 1. So it was also Rusty Bow, which is basically old Withering Rip. It's now cheaper. You can buy not really anything new on the tier 2 side. Arcane Surge is cheaper. Of course, I think they still have Kinetic Dash. They don't give like a free dash no more, which kind of sucks. They can still be good items, but I don't like taking them as much anymore, just because I liked having that free stamina if you dash jumped. But now they just give you the improved like range and spirit power and stuff, or fire rate and ammo. Tier 3s, the K has moved to tier 3. It's been very strong. It's been nerfed a little bit. Disarming Hex is a stronger version of Withering Rip, and it's basically just Monkrill's Sandblast, but as an item, and gives bullet resist, minus bullet resist, so it's quite a good item if you want to actually shut down a carry. I've had a game or two where there has been a carry kind of stomping, and I just forget because this is a new item, I'm not used to it. I could have bought this and they would not have been able to shoot for like 4 seconds, and I could have like stunned them or anything like that. Radiant Regen, it says new, but that's only because when this shop update came out, beginning of May, this item wasn't in the game. This was added in a minor patch fairly recently. But it takes it builds from Mystic Regen, tier 1, and of course this one scales, but also has a passive where if you cast an ability, you get healing and you move faster. This passive ability, where you heal on an ability cast, was originally on Boundless Spirit at the beginning of this month when the patch came out. However, I saw a lot of people buying Boundless Spirit. It was very strong on Geist. You got a lot of damage and you could just heal, and basically denied the fact that Geist takes self damage from using abilities. But they took that away, put in a new item. They compensated Boundless Spirit by now getting, if you buy this, you get 10% Spirit Power. I don't know if it's 10% of your current, which I would imagine is so, or whether it's 10% of your Spirit Power before you buy this, and then the 35 or whatever is added afterwards, or it adds the 35 Spirit Power and then gets you 10% of the spirit power afterwards. I don't know how the math works on it, but it's a pretty hefty amount of spirit power that they're giving you with this. Silent Wave has been strong. Its silences and spirit resistance, spirit power, very good. Tank Buster is just improved burst, but they've renamed it and given it, as a new look. Arctic Blast sounds good. A lot of people took front, even though that they nerfed it before, where it doesn't do extra damage to minions. People still use it because it's still a decently strong item. And then there's an upgraded version, but the upgraded version, to the most part, hasn't been that impactful. It seems good on paper, the fact that it slows them. Well, this one slows them, but it like freezes them in place, and then they do extra damage. But that duration is very short, as you can see, 0.75 seconds. So on a character like Lash, where you kind of just do your damage beforehand. So if you like slam an enemy, they fly down, you slam them and then use Arctic Blast, you've already done your big damage, you've already done your slam. So the bonus damage from the frozen thing status isn't applied because you've already done your damage. It can affect your like whip, but your slam is the big chunk of damage that you're doing. Echo Shard is now an imbue, so you can only imbue one ability. It doesn't mean you can't. It means you can't like refresh of your free normal abilities if you wanted to in certain situations. So like Bebop can't refresh his hook and bomb in the same game, of course, because he can only do one, because you have to imbue it on a certain ability. So if I imbued it on the charge, I can, and then use it, I can't, refresh it on the one. Focus Lens, I think, has been pretty bad. I've seen like no one pick this up. But maybe with some buffs in the future and things like that, it could be good. But at the moment, I've seen like no one play this. Lightning Scroll has been very strong on a lot of characters, specifically Warden and Seven. It's been very strong. Just the fact that their ultimates are very big teamfight ultimates, and then adding a stun and more damage is very, very strong. So Mercurial Magnum has been a buff, a tier 4 upgrade to Quicksilver. Quicksilver has already been an item that's been used in a ton of character builds, so having an upgraded version has gone very well, and this is very popular on those characters. Scourge, I like the idea of Scourge giving you 40% spirit resist and like max health on around you, but it hasn't really been that effective, really. I've wanted more other stronger tier 4s, really. So I think it can be good, but I've not really seen it shine much. Spirit Burn has been an insane item. I've seen so many people pick this item because it's a good amount of damage and damage over time, but it gives 70% healing reduction once you activate it. So Spirit Burn has been a fantastic and a very strong item on a lot of characters that can deal with the 500 damage threshold. And then they have Vortex Web. It's sort of like a small vacuum, so I can just test it, but like you see, it kind of like sucks them in a little bit. In my games, I don't see it as much, but I think it's more for like a support type of character anyway. But yeah, overall, a lot of the new items and new changes has been pretty good and pretty effective. Basically, the entire game has changed because of reduced item slots, because of how many new items giving you much less stats as well. Like Spirit Shredder Bullets doesn't give you anything extra. I think it might have given you like bonus health or something else, or fire rate maybe, or some extra spirit. I don't know what exact. Like I think it was more bonus health. I said I don't remember the exact stats before. You can probably look them up as well. But they removed them from tons of items and stuff. Only very few still have them and whatnot. Of course, like Toxic Bullets and Tesla Bullets are just the item effects, so you overall just get less stats and stuff. So it has really impacted how the game is played. it's how you build. I see a lot of the way people build now is they buy a few tier 1s, maybe a few tier 2s if it's like really important, but you really, sure, the mid game is a lot of people save up for very impactful tier 3s and tier 4s. The tier 4s are very strong now because not only is there a lot more of them, but in general they're just so much more impactful than they were previously. So yeah, tier 4s before were good, but not crazy. So it does give you, like, farming is much more important now, of course, than ever, due to the fact that these are really build defining type items and stuff. Like, you can really, maybe not like the vitality items and whatnot, but definitely gun items. Of course, Ricochet was still in the game before, and whatnot, but a lot of these items are very strong and give you a massive power spike that you just want to get online pretty quick before you sort of spend your time building smaller items and whatnot. Especially since now there's a lot more upgrades, like this new item capacitor builds from Tesla bullets, Crushing Force builds from melee charge and whatnot. So they have changed a lot of things with all the items and whatnot. But yeah, in general, I think it's changed the meta, and I think as well the general consensus is around that this item's been very good. Well, this patch has been very good. It's of course revived. The player count did go up quite a decent amount. It went, I think, a lot more, a few more thousand people have been playing. I think on average over the last like couple of weeks or like this month or whatever, from this update, which is always good to see. More people coming in, trying the game and whatnot is good. And I feel more people are more positive about this shop rework update than the map update. The map update was definitely quite divisive on how people perceive the game. They saw like it's a lot harder to do more solo type stuff and split pushing and whatnot. It led to a lot, it's a lot more death bally type gameplay and things like that. So I think people do have given better reception to this update than it was before. It still has some some problem points, of course, with the fact that certain items have been very strong. A lot of people have rushed Headhunter because it gives healing per headshot, or healing percent per headshot, and whatnot. And it's just been a very strong item in lane. You want to get it early. Anything else sort of really strong, like Spirit Burn has been picked up a lot, of course. A lot of people rush Boundless Spirit. A lot of the tank cards, like in terms of the hero balance, I've been playing a lot more Abrams again because he feels super good to play. He's one of the best characters in the game at the moment, specifically with a lot of the items changes and additions. Shiv has been very good. Geist has been very good, of course. So yeah, the hero meta change around, all the builds change around. Like any of the builds you had before, they've been drastically changed. So because you have less items and you want to go building specific items in order to really get stuff online and whatnot. So it really has changed the game for good, and all the art is fantastic as well. The art, the sound of mousing over the items and stuff like that has been really good. Of course, there was like some changes to the map. The base has been changed. Abrams icons changed, Dynamo and McGuinness. I've talked about the icons for McGuinness and Dynamo before. So so you can sort of see Dynamo model has changed. Of course, it's much more textured and detailed. So, and I'm sure, pretty much everyone else in the game is going to get an updated model like McGuinness, Dynamo, Abrams eventually at some point. Of course, we saw in the leak video I made, McGuinness had the updated one. It's got added in. Viper is still this like lizard rather than the snake, and of course there's no new other heroes added to Hero Labs. But I think that'll be the next major update they do, is add more heroes in, whether it's the 4 currently in the game right now, or it's any of the 10 that was leaked beforehand. So I'm looking forward to that. This game definitely is, more people are excited for new heroes than they are for items, and I would say heroes always bring in more players and whatnot, but the item change has been a major shake up to the game and meta, of course. So yeah, that's, I just really want to cover those, sort of the main point of this update. Of course, there was the base changes, and there's a ton of other changes and things like that, but there's people that have made all other changes and videos talking about the changes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I said I think the next update will be additional new heroes into the game. I'm very much looking forward to, and it could be potentially the open beta rumor in July. It could be even June, but I would more assume July, maybe August or something. So hopefully that happens in the near future. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.